It's been said that nearly 90% of the world's millionaires earn their wealth through real estate. Now, there are different ways that you can earn your wealth in real estate, whether it's working as an agent, a wholesaler, buying and holding, or flipping houses. Now, it may seem easy to break into the real estate industry, but you must know there are obstacles you must overcome. Now, let's tap into this future millionaire's mind. Alright, so we're here with Todd Javery, the founder of JaveCo Enterprises. So Todd, give us a little information about yourself.
Well, Rashad, I appreciate you having me first, but I'm a local real estate investor in the Atlanta market and also in the New Orleans market, looking to expand further. But I'm a real estate investor, real estate entrepreneur, full-time. Also, I'm a licensed agent as well, so I do work on the realtor side as well. And that's the basis of my business. And as an entrepreneur, there are other business endeavors that I invest in, but primarily real estate is the foundation to my business.
Okay, so what is your interest in real estate and how did you get started?
My interest really just, I always had a fixation with wanting to work for myself, wanting to start businesses, create businesses, and I really had a thing for controlling my time. So to me, entrepreneurship as a whole, and real estate specifically, I saw it as a business that would allot me the time I wanted, the freedom I wanted to go create other business and just move as I saw fit. I didn't necessarily like the confines of what a 9-to-5 would come with. And by all means, a 9-to-5 is appropriate for many, and even at a point in time, I thought it was for me. It's all about your growth and just having a vision. But I knew real estate and the entrepreneurship lifestyle was more so what I wanted than the everyday 9-to-5, because again, it just came down to time to me dictating where I needed to be when I needed to be. I kind of like that responsibility. So
just pretty much having control of your own time.
Exactly. That's the biggest. Everything kind of is a byproduct of controlling your own time. Even money, it's more so a tool and a result of how you can use your time. So I felt I was better fit to determine how my time should be spent than someone else.
Okay. So in the beginning stages of your career, what was the hardest part about getting started, and how did you mentally prepare yourself to get started?
Really, just when you're getting started, all you see is everything that you don't know. So the biggest thing is getting to a place where you're confident enough to believe that this vision is real. So I had to pour into education, self-education. I read a lot about real estate. Like I said, I got licensed really to learn the business from that aspect. I would attend several investing seminars, read a lot, partner with other investors. And at a certain point, you feel like, hey, I know enough to at least take a step. And you'll gain confidence through that. And everything's just a step at a time. So here we are, years later, several steps later, and you look back and you've achieved some things. But yeah, man, just that's kind of my mindset with it,
Okay, so I myself have attended quite a few real estate seminars, and they always talk about these 4 or 5 figure checks that you get off of each transaction. So after you put in a whole lot of work into a transaction, tell me about a time that you put in overtime to make the deal go through and you got to the closing table and it dissolved right in front of your face.
Oh yeah, that comes with the territory. That happens and probably will keep happening. But you have to get just accustomed to things possibly going wrong or not going according to your timeline. So you just develop that level of thick skin to get past it. But man, it's been things where I've expected, multiple checks in a month from different transactions, and prior to closing, an inspection issue that pushed things back, or there was maybe an unforeseen lien issue, and this entire closing is at a standstill. So that's money that was accounted for. I mean, it's accounts receivable. It's not yet, in hand, but you expect to get that. And, if you have certain marks you want to meet, that may throw off things that you may have, other moves you had predicated on making that money. But yeah, specifically, man, I remember a month, I had an agent closing, me being a realtor representing a client, and also some investment transactions all supposed to go through. And there literally was a lender issue. It was a weird situation how they transferred title prior to the sale close, and it just held everything up. And we're talking, tens of thousands of dollars expected that never, and it really a year later, never came. All the while also on the realtor transaction, to make the deal still go through, the other agent who I co-opted with, we had to agree to surrender some commission and even re-alter amounts of, closing costs ended up eating up a lot of everybody's money and just other fees. And I mean, and I guess maybe even partially to miscalculation of what realistically was coming versus the cost that it took to close that out. But for whatever reason, I had expectations of a lot of money and very little money came that month. But you still have to wake up the next day and find a way to move forward. So, I mean, I can give quite a few case studies on things going wrong, but that's the beauty in it. That's why things go right. You know, it's never really a failure. It's almost, you just fall forward, and that lesson is applied forward, and that's the reason you made that 5-6 figure check or whatever, because of, not stopping once you fell in your face.
Okay. So speaking to the investor side of real estate, having passive income is one of the best incomes you can have that's out there. Whether you own the property yourself or you just manage it for somebody and collecting the fee from it, how have you been able to leverage your time since owning your own properties?
Leverage. I mean, that's the operative word, leverage. So I definitely believe in working with the team and learning how to grow arms and legs, outside of what I can just get done myself. And I let people who are experts in their field do what they do. And I have a vision to have several properties, so I could only manage and see after so much. It makes sense to get property management. These people, if you get a reputable company, these people, that's full-time what they do. They have designations to do it, and they wake up and go to sleep doing just that. So let them do what they specialize in. And they deserve that, whatever percentage fee, because that alleviates that assignment or that headache for you. So that's been huge for me. And resources, man, just having a network of other people, other investors who I could call out to and ask for if I need a contractor to look to project manage something while I'm out of town. Or resources are a big way of kind of alleviating only being one person getting, only done what I could do myself. And knowing what your business model is and where you're best served, you probably shouldn't be swinging the hammer and going to look for the next property, and the realtor putting it under contract, doing comps. But you don't necessarily have to be that, and you'll find everything work way more efficiently if you allow the pieces to play what they're supposed to.
Okay. Now, so speaking in terms of networking with other realtors, the ability to network ultimately is what determines how successful you can be. So what are some networking practices that you've taken to attribute to your success?
To be honest, man, I look at it like, if as you leave your house every day, you're potentially networking, stopping at the gas station, stopping at the the supermarket or something. You meet people and you fall in a conversation. But I mean, that's networking. That's the potential for maybe future business to happen. So I just became really intentional about, as I said, I attended a lot of real estate workshops, conferences. I just wanted to immerse myself in the knowledge in the business, and you just putting yourself around like-minded people. So I searched for different investor groups. I would attend different agent meetings, and if there was any mixers or lunch and learns, I made it a point to go. And everything doesn't yield a check right then, so you have to kind of be thinking in terms of longevity. But I would go, and if I met somebody new or gained any value, it was worth it. Period. So having that mindset, you'll attract more than enough things to go to. And depending on your market, there's more than enough ways to put yourself around other like-minded people if you really care to. I mean, it's the internet society. You can really find out where people are and when, and show up.
Okay. So in the early stages of your career, it's easy for you to be taken advantage of. So one way to keep from being taken advantage of is to always educate yourself on what type of business that you're getting ready to go into. So how are you continuing to educate yourself?
Continuing education. So not the same books per se, but the same things that I did initially when I was getting into the business. I stay heavy with self-education. So reading about the craft, reading about real estate as a whole, reading and speaking with other investors. And again, internet society. So from articles and other just online resources, I pour into that. I pour into always being up to speed with real estate, because it's ever evolving and changing. Because I mean, it's tethered to people. So as incomes go up or value, everything is correlated. So I just make it a point to be intentional about that, and uh, I really try to link with other like-minded people because it's a book is one thing, but there's power in another person who you could share an idea with and go put action behind it, and they come to the table with a set of resources, and you do. It's like nobody lost anything; everybody just gained everything.
Right.
And to see that work, that's really, I kind of look for just good people to link with, and I know organically from that, to anything that any vision or goal we have, if we put a plan behind it, we can really make that happen.
All right. So now, start off as an agent.
Right.
Turn to an investor.
Right.
What's next?
Big time investing. So development. I mean, it's always been. I always saw it clearly how I wanted it to happen. So even when I got licensed as an agent, that was really for me to learn the business. I was young. I was fresh out of college. It's all I've done since college is real estate since I graduated, and I just needed to at least have some basis of what I'm talking about. I'm talking about mortgages to people, and they're looking at me like, you probably don't even have one. So that was important to me. But I always was an investor. In my mind, I knew that was the big picture in real estate and entrepreneurship. To me, was the investing side. So even when I got licensed, I was still reading about investing, going meet with investors, investor networks, knowing that eventually I wanted this investment thing to work on a big scale, which naturally is the development. Just commercial on a larger scale, from multifamily, apartment housing, to just commercial business development centers. I have a big vision with it, residential subdivisions, but the development aspect, because now it's not necessarily just finding this one house that's in Kirkwood or in the Ninth Ward in New Orleans or in a good area that could make a good profit. Is now I see this land right here that nothing exists, but I can envision a high-rise center or a work, live, play type of situation. And that there's always room for that. I mean, you can always build up. Like, I like the thought of development and that mindset. I don't know, it's recession-proof to think like that. There's always a need for what there's a need for, and that a developer is who puts that in motion. So,
All right. So you've seen the highs and lows in real estate. You experienced big checks, little checks, no checks, everything.
Negative checks.
So what advice can you give to somebody that's looking to start a career in real estate?
I would say first and foremost, you have to cultivate a mindset. That's why I spoke to the self-education, because you'll see everything that can go wrong, everything you don't know, prior to getting into it. So kind of just releasing all of that and allowing things to happen in their time. So this is not a quick lick type of situation. You can make faster money wholesaling and different ways in real estate, but this isn't like a fly-by-night. It's not scheme or it's not that. It's real. So you have to be able to commit yourself and understand, hey, this not rocket science, and truthfully, it can get to a point where it's not hard when you have systems in place, but just understanding you can take it a step at a time and really eventually look up and you've built something. Pour into your education, action. Give me 4 people who haven't really read a book, but they said, Tyler, I follow you every day, and figure out what you're doing, and I'll go get whatever info I'll give me them, and we're gonna come home with checks. And as opposed to a person who's just reading, just attending the workshop, then Monday morning comes and the smoke clears, and now they're not doing anything they just learned over the weekend at the seminar. Action still trumps all. And again, to get to the point where you're comfortable enough to take action and not second guess is because you've become a person that is more self-confident in the business. And that only happens, again, pouring into your self-education and just immersing yourself in the business with whatever time you can give to it. Like I said, I jumped in full-fledged. So I was able to give that amount of time, so it yields those type of results. If you're in a situation where you can only give it part-time energy, that may just be a situation that's fine, but that's the results you'll see until you can just really beat the craft and immerse yourself in it. And you'll see half the things you have a question about on the front end, half the unknowns, naturally the answers provide themselves. You don't get the answer to step 17 until you did 1, 2, and 3. So just kind of keep that mindset with it. And yeah, man, go get it. Like, seriously.
All right. So how can people get in contact with you if they want to do business with you or just wanted to follow you on social media?
You can follow me across social medias. Batcave Jave, BATKAVE, Todd Javery across social medias as well. And you can reach me directly, actually, 404-850-1716. My company is JaveCo Enterprises, real estate consultation, development, and like I say, I love being partnered with other reputable, credible people and being a resource and bringing value. So I'm about sharing and helping however I can. So yeah, and I appreciate Rashad for having me on this platform, and definitely look forward to doing it again. And yeah, link with me.
All right, you can follow me on Instagram at Blame It On Shad. Make sure you follow the blog site at Young Millionaires Mind.
So I definitely would like to encourage people to, first and foremost, whatever your passion is, be it real estate or not, definitely find it and go for it. Figure out what it takes, the steps it takes to really put it in motion and take those steps. But as far as real estate is concerned, I definitely encourage, if you have interest in it, just come definitely see about it. See why it makes sense, why it is where wealthy and respected businessmen keep their money, be it directly or even if it's just passively and managed by someone else. And I want to encourage the power and I really want to encourage the importance of self-education. That is where you'll get the confidence to say, in spite of these risks that I see, in spite of everything that can go wrong, I see that this still could work and I could, I'm worthy enough to get it done. You'll gain that because you'll have a sense of understanding in what you're doing. So I really want to emphasize the importance of iron sharpening iron. So putting yourself around other like-minded people, putting yourself in environments where you have people who you could feed energy off of. If you don't have a question or don't understand something, you'd be surprised. A lot of things are really a phone call away. And to you, it may have been this huge roadblock you perceived it would have been, and it was way more simple. And that could be something that impedes progress. So I definitely want to speak again to the power and pouring into yourself. Before you can invest in any asset or any home or anything, any business, you first have to invest in yourself. So everything is resting on a good foundation. So with that, man, go for it. Make it happen.